3.2a is on Venn diagrams. So a Venn diagram is a graphic organizer made up of circles. So if we're looking at our circles, one of the circles will represent one category, and then the other circle will represent a second category. And the middle, where they overlap, represents everything they have in common. So everything they have in common is in the middle, and then the differences are represented by the outside of the circles. So let's look at a couple of examples. The most important thing to remember when working with Venn diagrams is to work backwards, okay? To work backwards. So that means you always start with the center, start with what they have in common, and then work backwards to what they don't have in common. But always start with the center or the middle part of your circle. So for a service project at the math club, 20 people cleaned the park and 10 painted the school. 8 people cleaned the park and painted the school. All right, so here are our steps. We're going to start with the center, and then we're going to end up subtracting to find the other values. So let's start just by labeling our circles. So we're talking about people who cleaned the park. So I'm going to label one circle cleaned the park, and I'm going to put 20 in parentheses after it because I know when I'm done, I want this circle, I want all the numbers in this circle to add up to be 20. Then we also know that 10 painted the school. So 10 people painted the school. So I'm going to put painted, and then I'm going to put 10 in the parentheses because when I'm done, we want all the numbers in this circle to add up to be 10. Then they told us that 8 people did both. Since 8 people did both, we're going to put 8 in the middle, and that's what we mean by start in the center. So that we know that there's 8 in the middle, right? We know that this area and this area need to add up to be 20. So we're just going to subtract to find these other numbers. So a total of 20 people cleaned the park. We already accounted for 8 of them. So that leaves a total of 12 people who just cleaned the park. So 8 did both, but 12 people just cleaned the park. Well, for painted the school, we're going to do the same thing. We have a total of 10 people that helped to paint the school. A total of 10 people that helped to paint the school. We're going to subtract 8, and that tells us that 2 people only painted the school. And that's our Venn diagram. It shows us what they have in common, right? Which people painted the school and cleaned the park. And it shows us which people just cleaned the park and which people just painted the school. Let's practice another one. 66 students play basketball, 50 play soccer, and 48 play hockey. So the best thing to start off with is always just to label your circles. So we're talking about people who play basketball. I'm going to put 66 in my parentheses. People who play soccer. I'm going to put 50 in my parentheses. And people who play hockey. Well, I'm going to put 48 in the parentheses. Okay, so now I know what my total should be at the end of this problem. Notice how we have 3 circles because we are comparing 3 different sports. Well, 22 play soccer and basketball, 30 play both hockey and basketball, 28 play soccer and hockey, and 12 play all 3 sports. So we have to start with the middle. So we're going to start with the fact that 12 play all 3 sports. So that goes right here in the middle. And now from here, we're going to subtract to figure everything else out. Well, the problem tells us that 22 play soccer and basketball. Well, here's soccer and basketball. Right, so everything in that should add up to be 22. Well, we already accounted for 12 of them who played everything. So we're going to take 22. We're going to subtract 12. And that tells us that 10 people play just soccer and basketball. Now we're going to do the same thing with 30 play both hockey and basketball. So we're going to look where hockey and basketball overlap. Well, right here is where hockey and basketball overlap. Well, we want that total to be 30, and we've already accounted for 12 of them, so we're going to take 30 minus 12. Tells us that a total of 18 people play basketball and hockey, but not soccer. And then it says that 28 people play soccer and hockey. 28 people play soccer and hockey, so that's our last little joint section here. Well, we've already accounted for 12 of them, so 28 minus 12 leaves us with 16 people who play soccer and hockey. 16 people. Well, we have one area left to fill. We have to figure out how many people just play basketball, just play soccer, and just play hockey. So remember, for basketball, we want a grand total of 66. So 66, well, we know 10 people we accounted for, 12 people that play all 3, and 18 people that play basketball and hockey. So when we take 66 and we subtract 10 minus 12 minus 18, that leaves 26 people who just play basketball. Now would be a good time to pause and see if you can do the same thing for soccer and for hockey. Well, soccer's got a grand total of 50 people, so we're going to take our 50 people and we are going to subtract the 10 that play soccer and basketball, the 12 that play everything, and the 16 that play hockey and soccer. Well, 50 minus 10 minus 12 minus 16 leaves us with 12 people. 12 people who just play soccer. Last but not least, we're going to figure out how many people just play hockey. Well, we had a total of 48. Minus 18 who play basketball and hockey, minus 12 who play everything, minus 16 who play soccer and hockey, 48. Subtract these numbers leaves us with 2 people who just play hockey. And this is our Venn diagram expressing how many people play basketball, soccer, and hockey. Let's look at a couple more. So now would be a good time to pause and see if you can finish this one for yourself. In a freshman class of 100 students, 42 students play on a sports team. Okay, so we're talking about sports, and that's a total of 42. And 34 students participate in the school musical. So we have 34 in the musical. And 6 students participate in both activities. So since 6 students participate in both activities, that goes in the middle. Okay, that goes in the middle. How many students in the class are not involved in either activity? So all this information we're given in the problem is telling us if they are involved in sports and or the musical, but we want to figure how many are not involved in either of them. So to do that, we're going to start by filling out our Venn diagram. So we know that 6 play both, which means for our sports, well, 42 minus 6 tells us that a total of 36 are just in sports. For our musical, 34 minus 6 tells us that a total of 28 are just in the musical. So if we take 36 plus 6 plus 28, right, so if we take 36 plus 6 plus 28, that gives us a grand total of 70 students who are involved. 70 students who are involved with sports and or the musical. So if we want to figure out how many are not involved, we are going to take our total number of students, 100. We are going to subtract the number that are involved, and that tells us that 100 minus 70 is 30 students who are not involved in either activity. And that's our answer. Let's look at one more problem. The accompanying Venn diagram shows the number of students who play spring sports. All students in Circle A play baseball. All students in Circle B run track. And all students in Circle C play golf. We want to figure out what percentage of students participate in either golf or baseball. So which students participate in golf or baseball? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to figure out, here's my baseball circle, here's my golf circle. So I'm looking at all the students who participate in either this circle or this circle. Notice that there are some areas that overlap, right? This middle area overlaps. So in order to figure this out, we need to account for this overlapping because we don't want to count people more than once. That throws off our total. So the total students, let's add up everything to find the total students just to start off here. Well, we're going to add up every single number. So 15 plus 4 plus 8 plus 7 plus 2 plus 6 plus 8. That's every number in our Venn diagram. So that gives us a total of 50 students. Well, now let's figure out how many play golf or baseball. So we're going to add up all the numbers that are in these circles one time. So we are going to take 15 plus 4 plus 7 plus 2 plus 6 plus 8. Notice how I added the 7 and 2 just one time, right? Because those, we want to be careful not to add those twice. So that gives us a total of 42 students who play golf or baseball. So who play baseball or golf. Okay, 42 of them. Now if we want to find a percent, remember we're going to take the percent we're looking at, 42, and we're going to divide it by the total. Well, 42 divided by 50 is 0.84 times 100, tells us that 84% of students play golf and baseball. And that is our answer. or play golf or baseball. So most important thing to remember for Venn diagram is that when you are making one, you're just starting with the middle and subtracting to work your way outwards.